A lot of ladies will say to me, I want to see my abs. I want to get into elite shape. I want to step things up and I want to get into the best shape of my life. Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today, guys, I am going to be going through the 6 things that I did as non-negotiables to get into elite shape this year for my photo shoot and see my abs. And I will always be very, very honest as to what is required to do that, because it is not something that is really easy. It's not sustainable. Like where I am right now, I'm a couple of kilos up already after post shoot a couple of weeks ago, because again, I've reintroduced normal life, the same habits, the same routine, everything's the same. But ultimately, I've got to accept that if I want to introduce a little bit of normality, naturally, when you bring your calories to maintenance, body weight's going to go up a little bit because you're eating more carbohydrates. I have a meal off plan once a week now because obviously I can't not do that forever. So I'm only up like 1.5 to 2 kilos. But again, this is what I can kind of maintain now year round. What I'm going to go through today is specifically how I achieve that, because there's so much noise now, guys, on social media telling you can get into like elite shape, just making it feel really, really realistic. And I'm always wanting to be very honest about what it actually takes, because I would much rather coach a client to a position where they feel comfortable, they understand what needs to be done, as opposed to trying to trick someone into making them believe that it's easy when it's really not easy. And then they start to do the process or start to go through the process and they're like, this is not what I expected. You know, that's when people start getting frustrated because their expectation doesn't match the reality. So it's super important you understand what's required, because it's hard. Like, I'm not going to sit here like getting lean as a female and seeing your abs as a female. It's difficult. It's going to require a lot of sacrifice and a lot of discipline. It is doable, and what we've got to remember as well is your abs are very genetic, or they're very influenced genetically, shall we say. So my fella Nathan, he has abs year round, like year round, regardless of what body weight he is. He doesn't hold much body fat at all in his abs. Whereas me now, you can see my definition of like my midsection, but obviously I don't have like a solid blocky abs like I did in the photo shoot. And equally, when I did do the photo shoot, I had to tense to obviously see my abs as well. Whereas some people, you know, I've got clients like Laura as an example, and when she diets down, she's got proper like blocky 8-pack. But for me, obviously I've got a 6-pack. I've got a really, really short midsection. So my ab structure is very different, and everyone's ab structure is very, very different. So that's why you should never compare yourself to the next person, because even if you've both dieted down, you're going to look completely different. The first thing that I did, and I think it's so important we do this, is we've got to commit to an end date. Guys, if you don't have a deadline, you have no urgency. What are you then working towards? You need a deadline. So it needs to be, for example, in 16 weeks time, on this date, that's when the diet is done. If you don't do that and you don't set a deadline, what urgency do you have? There's nothing to give you a kick up the ass to then fall off track, right? So naturally things happen, of course. Adherence sometimes will suffer, but if you don't have a deadline, I can promise you now your adherence will be a hell of a lot worse. Because what people forget when it comes to health and fitness, dieting and getting lean should be a very small part of the process. It should be the smallest part of the process. If you have a goal of wanting to get in elite shape, you want to build your body, you want to build muscle, get lean, you know, you want to look more improved, you want to improve overall body composition, what you do outside them dieting phases is that's going to be the thing that dictates your composition, not what you do in fat loss. All fat loss does is reveal the muscle you've already got. So then you must be spending the majority of the time then building muscle. So you really want to make sure you're committing to a deadline. So the majority of females, it kind of depends as well on how long you should commit, depending on how much body fat you've got and what condition you want to get to. So I knew I probably had, I actually pulled off 12 kilos, guys, which again, a lot of people might see me and be like, what, you've pulled off 12 kilos? Most people have more to get off than they think they do to get to the body fat percentage that they want to get to. So just something to be mindful of as well. So in order for me to get ab lean, I needed to get off 12 kilos, which is like what, 26 pounds, might be a little bit more. So it's a lot of work. You know what I mean? It's not easy. And I did that over a 22-week period, but I had like 4 to 5 weeks out of that where I was at maintenance calories because I had so many travel plans this year. So you have to give yourself that deadline. I promise you now, if I didn't have that deadline of them photo shoots, it doesn't need to be a photo shoot, but for you, it might just be a date. You don't need any kind of end point of a holiday or like a shoot. You don't need that. You might want that, but you don't need that. You just need a date to work towards and then have the plan to reverse and then build from that thereafter. That is so important. Like I said, that gives you urgency. It makes you obviously really, really focused. It gives you that discipline. It's super, super important. Now, the second thing is I had external accountability. 2 things which I really lent on. One, obviously me having a big social media presence, being a coach, a lot of my clients look up to me. is that I put it on social media. This is what I'm going to do. Why? Because other people that are expecting me to perform, right? I'm doing it for myself. I don't care about anyone else, but it just gives me a bit more pressure. Again, a lot of people say, oh, I'm scared of being under pressure. I don't like pressure. Pressure is so important, guys. Diamonds are made under pressure. If you don't have any pressure, any urgency, what is the drive to go and work towards any goal? We do need an element of pressure. Research would always suggest we perform so much better when there is an element of pressure. So it's super important you've got something to give you that nudge. The second means of accountability, I had my own coach. And anyone that knows me, I always invest in a coach. I'm very, very passionate about this. I believe all coaches should have coaches. It might not be their own physique goals, but obviously from a further educational development standpoint, like a CPD, I do believe all coaches should have coaches. So yeah, I've always had my own coach. So my coach at the minute is Josh McHale. Absolutely love Josh, and I'll be with Josh a very long time because he is incredible and he's just my type of person. As in, I am very, as you can tell, I'm 100 miles an hour. I'm top note. I'm very excited about everything. I love life. Like, I am 100 miles an hour. Josh is the opposite of like calm, placid. You know, he brings me back down, which is amazing. I need that. And he's just so chill. Like, I love how his coaching is as well because it's so like PDF. It's just so basic, and I'm so basic as well, so it works really well. But yeah, Josh has helped me so much. So again, me being a coach, we've got lots of clients. I don't want to be thinking about my own goals alongside looking after other people's goals. So obviously I can pay Josh. Josh tells me what to do. I execute. It's a smart thing to do, right? So again, that's another benefit of having a coach. If you are someone that's a very busy person, even if you tell yourself you know what to do, but if you did, you probably would be where you are right now, guys. So I'm sorry to say that. But even if you are someone that has some knowledge, I coach a lot of coaches. It's not just about the knowledge. It's about the accountability. It's having someone to answer to. It's having someone to check in with. It's having someone to ask questions. You know, I am naturally a very driven person. So for me, if I was on my own, I know full well I wouldn't be the person that slows down. I wouldn't be the person that holds back. If I think things are slowing down, I would add more. Josh is very good with me because he tells me to do less when I need to, because I am that type of person. I often need pulling back, not pushing forward. But that's where having a coach in your corner to build that relationship is super important so they can get to know you. Now, the third thing is that I eat the same things daily. This is really important, guys. And again, so many people online will preach about flexible dieting. You know, you can eat what you want as long as it fits your macro. You can do, right? You can literally, on paper, eat, let's say your deficit is 1,500 calories a day. If you wanted to eat 1,500 calories worth of McDonald's, you would still lose fat if that was your deficit calories. But let's be honest, 1,500 calories worth of McDonald's is probably one meal, and you're probably going to be starving for the rest of the day. So the likelihood of you then sticking to that is going to be very slim. So it makes sense to maximize the volume within your calories as much as physically possible. Now, to do that, you're going to get a lot more volume by simply adding in there a lot of whole nutrient dense foods. So for me, when I'm dieting, 95% of my diet is whole nutrient dense foods, not 80-20 like Instagram will preach to you. When your calories are low, unfortunately, you're not going to be wasting 200 calories in a chocolate bar. You're just not. So I will absolutely intentionally have literally 95 to 5% in terms of the ratio, and I will eat the same things every day. Why? I'm very busy. I've got a lot of clients to look after. I've got a team to look after. I don't want to be using unnecessary decisions on things that's not important. If I can have someone to tell me what to do based on what I like, making my food shop cheaper, to me it's more logical for me to do that. And then if I have a meal out at the weekend for whatever reason, I can track on one day. I don't have to track for 7. You know, I'm all about convenience. I'm all about ease. I'm all about quicker progress. If you're someone that likes slow progress, you're like, you know, I'm not saying it's directly correlated to slow progress by tracking your food, but for a lot of people it will be, because there'll be a lot of tracking errors. If you like to think about what you're doing every single day, if you like a lot of variety, but honestly, the best people who I've worked with in terms of level of results will always have a structure, just because it just makes the process easier. It makes the process more streamlined. And from a health perspective, things are a lot more predictable. Like, my digestion is literally so linear. Yeah, when you're changing and chopping things around every day, different meal times, different foods, obviously internally, as long as within your calories, you're going to get fat loss, but is your body responding well to them foods? Is your training performance, going well? For me, it just makes a lot more sense, guys, to eat the same things on a day-to-day basis. That's the third thing that I did. The next thing is that I purposely woke up earlier in the morning. So every morning I would jump on my walking pad, or I would go for a walk. When I'm in the UK, it was a little bit brighter. I would get up early to go and do a lot of my movement, a lot of my steps. I'd get my cardio done early so that then I wasn't playing catch up at the end of the day. Some days I would have to play catch up. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't, but I tried actively every single day to get up earlier to get some movement in there. Even if it was just 3,000 steps, it was 3,000 less that had to do with an evening. My step count was very high at the end of my shoot prep, like very high. So a lot of my time was spent moving. So I would definitely advise you to do that. And again, doing that as well, if you've got a desk-based job, it will really help you out so much, just in terms of being ahead of the day. Like, so many people are like, come home from work, they're tired, they don't really want to get the movement in at night time, but unfortunately, if you want to get the result, you've got to do it anyway. Especially if you're trying to push abs, there is no wiggle room, guys. But it just makes sense. Like, if you can get up a little bit earlier in the morning, it just makes sense to box off a big chunk of movement, in my opinion. And it's worked very well for me. Number 5 is that in the last 8 weeks, I purposely limited meals out. Purposely, yeah? Now, there's a lot of people on Instagram that will tell you, you can just track your calories, you can have all these meals out and still get elite results. Full transparency, guys, I was sub 55 kilos when I finished my fat loss phase, right? I'm 5'8", I'm very petite. You can imagine I was quite lean, right? No, I weren't at the stage, stage lean, but I was photo shoot lean, okay? So I didn't want to be utilising, like, I could have gone to Wagamama's and got 500 calories of a chicken ramen. But bear in mind, that's like a third of my, well, it's less than, it's like half my calories, no, just below half my calories at the end of my shoot prep. So do I think that's logical then for me to be absolutely starving the rest of the day? Absolutely not. Whereas if I'd have stayed at home, I could have 5 meals. So at the end of the prep, when my calories were low, my output was high, it's just not worth it. And I can't be bothered going wasting money, full transparency, ordering a fillet steak in a restaurant with some steamed veggies for like 30 to 40 pounds when I could make it at home, the same thing. Like, I would just rather wait at the end of my dieting phase. I'm in control of my calories then. I know what I'm getting. I can maximize my food volume. I can make it better at home. You're tired at the end of a dieting phase. I don't want to be staying up late going out for a meal. Like, for me, that just works really well. But obviously for you guys, that's a choice you can make as well. But for me, what I did at the end of my shoot prep, the last 8 weeks, I pulled out social occasions, I pulled out meals out, okay? So that's one of the big things I think. Like I said, very misinformed on social media. There's a lot of girls out there who are like, you can just do what you want and get an elite results, or get an elite shape. Honestly, them people are either very genetically gifted, or if it's a coach about the clients, I would always say to that person, you show me a 50 kilo female that can have a meal out every single weekend and get an elite shape, yeah? And I can probably almost guarantee there's little to very few, if any, that they'd be able to show me, because it's impossible, absolutely impossible. I've got one client on the top of my head, Lizzie. Lizzie was a client that I coached a couple of years ago, and she got photo shoot lean, and she was 44 kilos, right? 44 kilos. But again, she did anywhere about 25,000 steps a day because she worked on a nature reserve. So for her, things were a little bit different. But the majority of other small females who have desk jobs, how can you validate that going out for meals? You just can't. So I'm very honest, guys. If anyone follows my Instagram, they follow my YouTube for a while, I will never bullshit you into what it takes to get results. I am very straight up. And if you're a small person, that is something unfortunate that will probably have to go, and I'll be the person that tells you that, okay? And then the final thing that I did, well, I did lots of things, but the final 6th non-negotiable that I'm putting in this video is I really did steer away from alcohol. So it kind of links to the social occasions. Now, anyone that's followed my socials for a while, you'll know that I have been traveling a lot this year. So we've had multiple hen parties, holidays, weddings, in that time frame. I've gone back to the UK multiple times for client shoots, but I've literally been to Vegas, to Mykonos for hen parties. I've had a wedding in Cyprus. I've been back to the UK. I'm trying to think where else I've been. I go to Malta in a few weeks. It is the year this year where all my friends and family are getting married, so there's a lot going on, okay? With that being said, obviously, if there's a lot going on, I have to be very selective about what I'm going to be working around, okay? And if I was to choose, bear in mind there's been a lot on, if I was to be eating and drinking alcohol every single social, my progress will have massively slowed down, yeah, massively. So I had to be very selective. So the only 2 occasions that I did have alcohol throughout the entire 22-week prep was in Vegas and in Mykonos, the hen parties, just because there was a little bit more, shall we say, appropriate to do that. Where I wanted to kind of relax a little bit more. I chose that when I went to the wedding. It doesn't bother me. I'm not a big drinker. Like, I can take or leave it anyway. For me, I am a big foodie. So I would much rather have enjoyed my meal and then sacrifice the drink, because that's what it's about, guys. It's got to be compromised. You can't have your cake and eat it, despite what socials tell you. But yeah, that's the way in which I did it. I steer away from alcohol because people forget. There's a lot of alcohol, calories in alcohol, guys. Like, it is quite calorie dense, especially depending if you're drinking things like cocktails. Us girls love a cocktail. I'm very much a Hugo Spritz kind of girly, so mine's not too crazy, or like a mojito or something like that. But if you're a girl that loves like a porn star martini, a strawberry daiquiri, you are talking in excess of 200 calories a cocktail, 250. So you only have 4 of them, you're talking nearly 1,000 calories. It's like a McDonald's burger. So like you don't realize what you're actually having, you're consuming. So you're not just gonna have 4 drinks in the day, plus your evening meal when you're in a restaurant, you know, that's gonna be what, in excess of 2,000 calories if you just have 1 course. Then your food through the day, you might be day drinking in your hen party. So before you know it, you're probably consuming about 4,000 to 5,000 calories on a day to day if you're drinking all day. So you do have to be very selective is what I'm trying to get across. And that's what I did. I just chose to be very selective on them 2 occasions. They're the 2 times I had the drinks, and that worked well for me. So yeah, hopefully this video helps and it just gets you thinking. As I said, this is not you need to diet and get abs. That's not what I'm saying. I am just being very real with you guys about the non-negotiables that I did to get to where I got to. And I will share some of the shoot images with you so you can see what I look like at the end of my shoot. And I'm not saying that is for everyone, it's not. But if you do have a big goal, you have to be willing to put in big work to get there. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video, guys. If you've got any questions, please pop it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to help. Guys, just a quick one as well. If you do not currently subscribe to my channel, I would be so grateful if you could hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. But yeah, I will catch you in the next video, and I will catch you all soon.